Came up from the bottom to the top. And the young is gonna never stop. And he always punching in the clock.
Here we go, Josh Rhodes. Tell your story, drop some gems. We'll do a quick Q&A at the end, and let's change some lives, brother.
Hey, yeah, man. Thanks for having me. So guys and gals, awesome to be here. Thank y'all for tuning in. I am from Alabama. I live in Birmingham, home of the brave, land of the free. We love it here, and grew up in Northwest Alabama, guys. I'm a country boy at the end of the day. I was the first person in my family to go to college. Not that college is some kind of rite of passage. I'm not even sure I'll make my kids go to college, but that's a whole other discussion. But that is part of my pedigree. Like, you know, I come from this blue collar, middle income, existence with, two great parents and, a younger brother, and played baseball all my life. Ended up going to college to play Division I baseball. I was a catcher, so I took the narrow gate, if you will. I wore the tools of ignorance long enough to convince somebody to let me in and give me some money to go to college, where I got a degree that is absolutely worthless to me today.
Typical entrepreneur, man.
Yeah. So for those of you with an international relations degree, you know, unite. After college, I thought I was supposed to be a nonprofit. I thought I was supposed to go out and do good and not get paid much. And man, I was miserable for like a decade. I tried to force myself into that, kind of shoehorn myself into that arena. And one day I just woke up and said, you know what? I'm a salesman. Like, I'm just an entrepreneur sales guy. Like, I need to persuade somebody. I need to transfer certainty to somebody. I'm driven by money. Like, I'm in a nonprofit setting. I'm driven by money, y'all. And so, and I have reasons for being driven by money, mainly because my dad, who's a Vietnam veteran and awesome guy, he was present in my life, and I'm blessed because of that. You know, I know a lot of people may or may not have a mom or a dad who've been present in their lives, and I'm one of those guys that my dad was there, and he told me he was proud of me and he loved me every day of my life, every week of my life. And so he was a salesman. He's retired now. And man, when people are generous to you, there's this crazy thing that makes you want to be generous to other people and back. And so I'm driven by money because ultimately I want to be, and I'm saying this out loud because I know a lot of people on the screen haven't thought about this, and that might cause some wandering in your life, like I was for a decade. But like, you know, you might hear Simon Sinek talk about your why. Well, what's your core value? What's your drive matters. And I want to be generous without having to think about it. And I also love things, and I love to provide, and all of the material possessions of the world. I'm not above that either, but I wanted to get into a theater where I could perform, where I could use my God-given talents of persuasion. I was always good at talking people into something, and I was just like, well, maybe I can do this. And eventually somebody said, hey man, sounds like you're miserable. Can you sell? And I said, yes, not knowing how to sell, not knowing how to close a deal, not knowing the technicals, stuff that you pick up from Mike and Alex, not knowing or understanding the art and the science of salesmanship. I just knew that I was destined for something in the capitalist pig environment. So I got into it, and man, gosh, I just immediately got traction. I started selling high ticket stuff, started selling high ticket programs. And then I was like, wow, I can do this myself. I can build my own business. And I did. And in 10 months, I launched a business. And within 10 months, we were a 2 comma club business in the residential real estate space all over North America. And that business still operates today, just without me, which is fantastic because I'm a business owner. So I've tried to mature from salesman to entrepreneur to business owner, and I'm now in the what Kiyosaki would call the quadrant. So now I'm moving into the investor quadrant. I participate in investor funds that buy e-commerce stores. Like Alex said, I love turnkey real estate investments. I love owning my businesses as an asset. They work oftentimes as lifestyle ATMs that create cash flow that I can extract and deploy that capital benevolently, generously, or into other investments, or for a frivolous trip to Hawaii. Whatever that might be, gives me control, which is the wonderful part about sales. It really allows you to bring a lot of control into the world. Other businesses, Alex mentioned Gravy Solutions. I lead that company. We got about 100 employees now. We take care of involuntary churn. Whenever your credit card fails for a monthly subscription, Gravy is a high ticket, if you will, done for you service that embeds itself in the brands of big brands that you know, in the e-learning space, in the SaaS space, in box subscriptions, even car washes that have monthly memberships. We have a vast array of verticals that we serve. I get to lead that team. I'm a co-owner and just on the cap table there and an investor in that company. So here's the story I would tell if you and I were drinking a Woodford Reserve at the bar together. By the way, I love Woodford Double Oak. If anybody's sending out bottles,
there we go.
I'll take a Double Oak. So the moment when I had this epiphany, and by the way, epiphanies do not happen automatically. The apple didn't just fall on Newton's head and he figured out gravity. You are coached into these transitions. You're coached to higher levels. You can model the masters, but very rarely. It's kind of like when I was playing baseball. Like, I always wanted to swing like Ken Griffey Jr., but my coach finally looked at me and said, "Hey, bro, Ken Griffey Jr. can wrap the bat around his neck like that because he's Ken Griffey Jr. You need to follow the way I'm telling you how to hit because you're not going to be able to succeed if you keep trying to be like him." So, like, at some point, there is a formula, there is an opportunity, there is a door opening from an alien voice, from someone outside of your own experience that will go, "Hey, Josh, hey, Alex, hey, Dave, hey, Edward, hey, Robert, like, can you do this? What if I helped you do this?" Often what you guys are selling to other people, there's that greener pasture moment in your life. For me, like I said, I play college baseball. This is crazy, all the elements that kind of weave together here. So I play college baseball. There was a guy there who pitched. I was a catcher. He was a pitcher. His name is Casey Graham. Casey and I played college baseball 100 years ago together. And we started our first business in college called College Loadout. It was a student moving service. He owned a Ford Ranger pickup truck. I owned a Ford Ranger pickup truck. And we just wanted to get engaged. And so we went from sorority house to sorority house. We pre-stamped envelopes. We wrote letters home to mom and dad. And we stood in front of sorority meetings and said, "Hey, we paid for the stamp. If you'll write a little note that says, 'Hey, Dad, hey, Mom, will you please pay these guys to move all my boxes and store them for me?' That'd be awesome." So we literally walked in, handed them envelopes, had them pass them down the rows, pass them back to us, and then we mailed them for them. And we made a business, and we didn't know it. We were selling. But then we left college, and I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to go get a W-2 job like a robot, like society wants me to," which is fine. There's a station and a place for that. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to diminish the W-2. But if you're a salesperson, there's a level of control and entrepreneurship that you want to harness. I went into that decade of lostness, of being not true to myself. Casey did too, except Casey got a coach before I did. He woke up before I did. He had that Matrix blue pill, red pill moment before I did. And Casey calls me one day and says, "Hey, bro, can you sell?" Now, a little bit of context. I had left nonprofit and I had moved into a travel position, a sales position at a large travel company. So I was selling meetings and incentives to luxury meetings and incentives to big companies like Regions Bank or $400 million electric companies who had sales reps that they wanted to send on incentive trips every year. So I might be in, at the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua with 1,000 sales reps who are partying. And my job was to make sure, number one, that account was sold. And number two, everything was taken care of for that company's top performers. But I was still like, it was like a bridge job. It was a long 18-month sales cycle. It was pretty brutal in that regards, but I learned some things. And then Casey called. Meanwhile, when I was at this travel sales position, I was like, man, I want to try this online business thing. So I started my first online business was called Groovy Bicycle. It's the dumbest thing I can even think of now looking back on it, but that's how it all begins. Do what? Was
it tie-dyed with lights?
I know. The funny thing is I'm like the preppiest guy in the world. And I came up with this like hipster name, because here's why. I had a list of 1,000 drop shipping companies. Like you could drop ship their product. And I just literally closed my eyes and put my finger on a product, and it was fixed gear bicycles. I had never ridden a fixed gear bicycle in my life. And I just made this stereotypical, stupid observation that hipsters ride fixed gear bikes. And so I just said groovy because that was my vernacular. I don't know. And so I just said Groovy Bicycle. I went on squarespace.com. They have a free logo generator. I created Groovy Bicycle logo, the black and white, just the most basic thing ever. Got a Shopify store, uploaded the inventory, got an Amy Porterfield $500 Facebook ad course. This was like 2012. Like Facebook ads was like brand new. Totally different experience, totally different algorithm. Like this is early days. And I started spending money, my own money, not much of it, on Facebook ads to people in Chicago, New York, all the metro arenas where fixed gear bicycles really were popular. More
they were like Lululemon pants in 2012.
100%. 100%. And so it worked. It worked in a way that I could acquire customers. I had a 10% discount drop down button. I was building an email list. Before I knew it, I had 100 people on my email list. Then the warehouse in San Francisco that I was drop shipping from discontinued their wholesale agreement, and then I was shut down. So that business burned in flames, but the phoenix from the ashes was Groovy Marketing, not Groovy Bicycle. So Groovy Marketing emerged. And I was like, you know what? While I'm trying to figure out what I'm actually doing with my life, I'm gonna exercise these skills that I'm acquiring. I was learning SEO, I was learning Facebook ads, I was learning email marketing, I was learning copywriting, I was learning sales, but I had not done the high ticket, like direct response transactional sales thing yet experientially. So I just kept the digital thing going. It was moonlighting it. I was just acquiring skills, soaking it up. And then my buddy Casey called me. And he said, hey, man, can you sell? And I was like, egotistically, yeah. And in the back of my mind going, hell, I don't know. And he asked me like 5 times over a 4-week period because he was a hesitant entrepreneur. He had an old friend that he trusted. He wanted to bring me on, but he was kind of scared to bring me on because it's a lifestyle change. He also had a business asset that he wanted to succeed, and he didn't know if I was experienced enough, but he took a chance. We had he had just won Infusionsoft Marketer of the Year with a company that he had started. It was an online training company, and he wanted to leverage that online that Infusionsoft award with a new company or a new offer, and the new offer was called Business Rocket. Actually, the offer was called Get Paid Daily, which sounds super scammy. But really all it was teaching business owners how to create a membership site, a membership-based monthly recurring revenue business. Long story short, he would do a webinar, good old-fashioned webinar, the call to action was apply for a free coaching call application, had to fill out a form, highly vetted. I would get on the phone with them. And within 6 weeks, I had closed $450,000 in revenue on this new course. It was a $5,000 course. And it was awesome, man. My favorite close was I closed an X Power Ranger for $7,500. The red Power Ranger he had started a kung fu. He was a kung fu trainer, and he wanted to start he had a brick and mortar business. He wanted to start an online membership because he knew he was ahead of the game. I mean, to his credit. And so I'll never forget, those closes and all those personalities, the unqualified crazies and the qualified closes. But that gave me the confidence to go, holy crap. Like I didn't go to college for this. I didn't do this for 10 years. I just learned a little script. I got some pointers from other entrepreneurs in the space. We always had like these impromptu closes. There's a couple of great gals, Sarah Petty and Erin Verbeck. They own this photography training online business. They got on the call with me and taught me about scarcity. They just all this stuff. And, I was just taking these arrows and put them in my quiver, and man, it was a blast. And looking back on that those were the muscles and the conditioning that I built to create the moment of my first big push of a business, not a moonlighting business, but like hey babe, if this doesn't work, we're going to have to burn all the ships kind of thing. And that was Agent Spotlight, my real estate consultancy. And so 2016, we launched that in June, and 10 months later, we had done $1 million in revenue, tons of profit. And I was making more money than I ever had thought personally. And I was having to figure out what to do with it, how to pay taxes, how to allocate it, I was trying to learn how to be a big boy. So anyway, there's always, it pays to know people. Your net worth is made up of your network. And there's always an opportunity or a vein of gold that you can follow. And now, that first high ticket close that I made, that first sale, that first fixed gear bicycle that I sold, those all aggregate into my imperfect yet blessed more than I deserve station of life that I find myself in now. Speaking of waves, one of the crazy things that happened on accident, honestly, I'd love to say that I was this brilliant master scientist that choreographed this, but the Phoenix from the Ashes, Groovy Marketing, I sold it a year ago as a business asset. I sold it a year ago, the day before Trump declared national pandemic or national emergency. I got the wire. And I sold that business asset because in 2015, I think, when ClickFunnels launched, like a month after they launched, I was like, I've been learning SEO. I'm going to write a skyscraper blog post, and I'm going to rank for this keyword, ClickFunnels pricing. And then I started learning more about keywords. Then I did my own keyword analysis. And then I had like 30 or 40 keywords. And I was me and a guy in Australia were the only crazy people on the internet that were writing about this stupid software called ClickFunnels that no one knew how to pronounce appropriately. And everybody was making fun of because Russell had made potato guns for his first business, and Lead Pages was already around, and Unbounce. And anyway, the tide just grew and grew and grew. Now they're a $100 million company. I was one of their top affiliates, a dream car winner. I was in Russell's mastermind. I was just having a blast. And I was just like, man, I remember being at Russell's mastermind in Boise at the headquarters. And John, his cousin, who's also their chief marketing officer now, he was their traffic guy. He was doing an SEO. We were in the mastermind in Russell's inner circle. And I remember we were listening to a presentation. I was sitting next to John, and John was working, because he's like, oh, this is number 12, mastermind of the month. And I remember looking over, and he was doing an SEO analysis of all their keywords. And part of my strategy with Groovy Marketing was YouTube. So I would do a lot of YouTube SEO rankings. And so I was seeing him type in keywords, and my rankings were showing up. And then he finally did YouTube rankings, and then my thumbnails were showing up.
That's awesome.
And I was like, he looked over, and we just kind of grinned at each other and just we never said anything, and we just kept going. But it was really funny. And it was one of those moments where I was like, man, this is surreal. Like, I'm just this country boy from Alabama. I'm not supposed to be competing. You know, like Ty Lopez and Robert Kiyosaki won their dream cars on each bookend of me. If you look at their dream car top, the first 25 guys, I'm like, dude, nobody knows who I am. Ty Lopez in his garage and Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then there's little old me. It's just because like I just happened to luckily throw out this groovy marketing thing. So the moral of the story is not Josh is awesome. It's action creates traction. Just if there's something you're sitting here hesitant about, do it. Like, just do it. Like, don't be afraid to fail. It's bullet, cannonball. Just shoot, blast. Like when you see some pattern recognition happen, double down. Like it's amazing. A lot of you are thinking about that with cryptocurrency right now too, which by the way, I'm an enthusiast just for everybody's entertainment, but we don't have to go there.
I love that. Would you put Robert Kiyosaki on your top 5 list of books?
100%.
Yeah. Guys see that every time. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Cash Flow Quadrant, one of the two.
Yes. Game changer.
Another question. What would you say are the top 3 books on personal development, wealth, investment, whatever, that have been the most impactful on you when it comes to knowledge and things that you've been able to utilize and really use the most?
I'll highly suggest 80/20 Sales and Marketing if you haven't read it. One of my favorites. I can do this all day long. This is not tactical or technical, but I love Napoleon Hill, the first self-development guy of the early 20th century, right? Outwitting the Devil, really good. I'm a good to great guy. I love Jim Collins. There's some post criticisms of his research. The E-Myth, now they've got a E-Myth revisited. But this is I would say if you're considering entrepreneurship or trying to understand entrepreneurship, like this is like the reality dose. This keeps you from falling into the trap of, man, everybody else is successful and perfect and rainbows and unicorns. It's not. It's just, it's a trade. Entrepreneurship and even salesmanship is a trade-off.
Yeah.
It's literally a trade-off. It's an imperfect environment where you're just going, you know what? Okay, I'll have employees. But having employees is like saying, hey, all you humans, bring your sewage pipes and hook them up to my building and open the floodgates. That's a reality of owning a business. It's called, you have to deal with humans and lead, you've got to lead. But guess what? The trade-off is that you're going to make more money because of it, or you have an opportunity to make more money because you own an asset rather than a wage. So the E-Myth is that's helpful there. Perry, in his study on the 80/20 principle, guys, Pareto principle of distribution, like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's intelligent design. Like, it's just embedded into the fabric of our universe. 20% of what you're doing is creating 80% of the results. And a lot of your impasses and a lot of the stuck in the mud, quicksand parts of your life is simply because your society has trained you and I to fabricate activity so that we look like we're being important and meaningful. That's true in your marriage. That's true in your parenting. That's true in how you select courses in college. It's true how you run your business. It's true how you close deals. 20% of your deals are going to create 80% of the revenue in a business. It's just reality. Now, it's not perfectly symmetrical, but Perry does a good job of helping you marry sales and marketing knowledge with the laws of the universe, mainly the 80/20 principle. And then Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. The biggest thing there, that's 1,000,000% a mindset thing. You can be driven by there's two selves. You can be driven by the self of fear, or you can be driven by the self of faith. They're going to coexist. You're not going to get rid of one or the other. but one of them has to take control of the conversation.
And then one more question for you on something that I picked up on, because it's kind of new in my world. You talked about passive income from e-commerce. Are you investing in e-commerce stores?
Yeah. So me and a group of probably 8 other gentlemen created a company, an LLC, that is a fund. And so we participate the way we invest dollars. It's totally passive. We give those dollars to the agent of the fund, and that agent purchases businesses on our behalf. We all have different percentages, and it's just a business aggregation fund where it's like rental property, except with e-commerce businesses. So go buy 5, 20% of those businesses are going to create 80% of the income, and then you flip it and sell it. But you also get distributions from it.
That's awesome. We just partnered with a portfolio company, and I just sent 5 guys over on Monday. They started, and they do that with basically Amazon, Walmart, eBay, and Etsy. And they have different ones that they offer. And what they do is they have an investor come in. It depends on the price of the store. It goes anywhere from 30 to 500K, and they manage the store 100%.
Yeah.
The investor gets 60% of the profits. They take 40. They have an entire account health team. They have over 150 on like an accounting team, and they do all the marketing. And all the investor has to do is buy it and then have enough liquid credit available to fulfill the orders on the drop ship. So the higher the credit line, the more money they make. So this whole thing is new to me, but I'm like tripping out on it because the numbers are crazy. It's like, if you don't want to do crypto or real estate or whatever, this is like it's like investing in franchises of McDonald's. It's crazy.
It is. That's exactly
Wow.
what it is. Very similar. Our fund is similar, not quite as sophisticated, but the idea is, what they basically do is they find owner operators who want capital or who want to take some chips off the table. The fund buys that asset from them. They stay on as the operators with an incentive to perform, and then they get returns, and then we get obviously the majority equity and distributions.
That's awesome. Yeah, these guys, you have to set up your own LLC, and then they just do everything for you, and they just
That's right.
They don't have to do anything. Just have an available credit line and buy the investment. That's it.
Yeah, the only thing I've done is send wire money and sign a DocuSign.
I love that. And then one last thing, and then we'll let these guys ask some questions because I find this interesting too, and I'm sure they will as well, because everybody here wants to know about investments. Can you embellish a little bit more on the turnkey real estate stuff that you do, that you were talking to me about the other day?
Yeah, I mean, some of you may be familiar with this. My favorite thing of 2019, 2020 that I started was turnkey real estate investment. There are real estate investing, people talk about it like it's the holy grail, and it really is one of the holy grails, but it's like Baskin Robbins 31 flavors. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can invest in real estate, and so before you invest in real estate, you really need to understand what your temperament is, kind of like stocks, kind of like crypto. Like you just need to understand what your temperament is, what your outcomes are. You need to back out of the economics, back out of your outcome that you want. For me, the outcome that I want was another quick story. In 2008, I flipped my first house. I did 80% of the work. I'm an unskilled laborer. I had a buddy who is like Bob Vila, but he is slow. Oh my gosh. So we flipped this house. We lost money when we bought it. We didn't know what we were doing. We bought it too high. We turned it into, it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. We turned it into a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, little cottage, and took us 6 months, did 80% of the work. I mean, I literally demoed the entire house myself because he was a pilot instructor during the day. I would demo it at night. It was just a nightmare. I had no idea what I was doing. I put the for sale sign in the yard a day before Bear Stearns went under during the mortgage crisis of 2008 in the crash. And y'all talk about salesmanship. Like before I knew I could sell, the next day A dad and his newly graduated daughter from Ole Miss drove by, saw my for sale by owners sign. I was outside, like literally doing the last bush of landscaping. And they pulled up and rolled the window. Actually, they didn't pull. Y'all, I walked out in the road. I saw them slow rolling. I saw them like looking because there was a lot of signs in the yard because nobody could sell a house. I said, hey. I waved them down. They rolled the window down. I said, y'all looking for a house? And he was like, yeah, my name's Jay. I was like, y'all get out. Come on. Did the Alabama thing and walked them through the house, had a contract the next day. And I just have felt sorry for them ever since because I sold them a house and then the bottom fell out. But what I learned was I'm never scraping the paint off of a house again. I'm never managing electricians or plumbers again. As a matter of fact, flipping a house is great because you can get some capital, but there's short-term capital gains you got to pay, yada, yada. I was like, I want to be a buy and hold guy. I want to do what Kiyosaki talks about. So a friend of mine, I'm in a monthly coaching group called Vistage. You may have heard of Vistage Incorporated, Vistage International. It's a board of advisors. Me and 15 other CEOs meet together every week or every month. And one guy owns an Inc. 500 business. And it's a turnkey real estate business. They bought the house themselves. They renovated the house themselves. They put the house on their own private marketplace themselves. And then they find the tenant themselves, oftentimes have already pre-filled the house with a tenant. And so I get an email once a week with a password on it, and I click on it. I go to it's actually a Shopify store, ironically. I enter my email address in, and then I see just rows of 4 properties, and they're all at different price tags, different areas and it's primarily here in Central Alabama, Nashville. There's various markets in the country that you'll find out that are really, really good in terms of buy and hold real estate. Indianapolis, one of them. And they've got a price, and they've got a one pager that I'll look at, and it's like, hey, it's an $88,000 property. The monthly rent is $950. We'll manage the property for you. It's 8% of that monthly. So they back all the math out. You can see that your cash on cash returns 30%, 28%. And I'm just like, okay, Maureen, I'll have that one and that one. And all I really have to do is tell the bank, who I have a financing partner. They're like, yeah, we'll lend you money. How much you need? And I get that money. I go to the closing table. I'll leave the attorney's office, and they just start sending me rent checks every month, or not checks, but they wire the money every month from the portal via ACH. So I'm enjoying it because the last thing I want to do is go door to door and collect checks. I've done that. It's not fun. Last thing I want to do is fix the toilets. The last thing I want to do is, remodel the house or paint the walls. So what I want to do is operate and or own or acquire businesses. And so, but because real estate has a special place at the table in the United States in terms of taxes and wealth building and whatever else, and you can get into, infinite banking and whole life insurance, and you can get into other vehicles, but like real estate's one of those special seats at the table. And so, but I just don't want to manage it. So turnkey has become one of those things. It's just like, it's almost like going to the grocery store. And you're just like, yep, I like that box of cereal, or I like that property. And I've never set foot in the houses that I've purchased. And I have an LLC called Groovy Properties that buys the houses. So
it's awesome. I have a friend that made a lot of money when he was really young, bought a condo in San Diego. It was worth a lot of money, sold it, started renting an apartment, took the money and started investing in something like this. And it was in Indiana. And now I got like over 10 properties or something like that. He's making killing it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's an interesting strategy. And the fun thing is you can start rolling it. You can start taking that equity and then developing more or acquiring more assets. And anyway.
I love that. Take the money to make more money. All right, we got 15 minutes, guys. We're going to quit in an hour today. Let's start with oh, there we go. We already know. Let's go with the questions.
What do you look for in a good coaching experience? Do you look for a specific thing, or do you look for a lifestyle thing? And the second part of the question related to that, masterminds, how many do you belong to and how they've been beneficial?
I have typically only been a part of one mastermind, quote unquote, at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always beneficial. Like if you can invest in a mastermind, they're great. Now they're only beneficial though if they're appropriate or relevant to the station of life that you're in, or relevant to the level of which you want to travel to. You know, when I won my 2 Comma Club award, I'm a Enneagram 3 for those of you who are or don't know what that means. It means I love the trophy case. I love to win. I love to compete. And I wanted to do more than just a 2 Comma Club. I knew I wasn't finished. I knew that business didn't end because I got a plaque. I knew that I had a greater vision and purpose. So I was like, well, I should join the mastermind from the guy who wrote .com Secrets and Expert Secrets and sent me the plaque, so I can learn from not just him, but also from the pantheon of entrepreneurs in the room. And so I did that for a season. I didn't stay. There was and there's reasons why. And now I'm a part of Vistage, particularly. It's not because Vistage is full of a bunch of like high tech digital entrepreneurs. As a matter of fact, it's actually a lot of traditional P&L companies, you know, like massive apartment, multifamily development companies, architecture firms, you know, the list goes on. A lot of big, crazy businesses, electrical supply companies. And I'm just trying to, at this point, understand the greater realms beyond digital or internet business, you know, understand how to run businesses through P&Ls and executive boards and all of that. So yeah, that's how I choose my coaching environments.
What do you do when you feel that you're trying at your high, like, you know that you could do better and you are pursuing that on an everyday basis, but like your best is not the best?
Be more specific.
In life in general. Oh, well, you said more specific. Like you're trying your hardest as you can in life in general. What do you do as an entrepreneur, you know?
Yeah.
And trying to organize everything. And it's like so much on your plate that you just put on your plate, and it's so new to you that you don't really know what to do.
I would go very, 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 very basic and primitive with you here, not knowing any specific scenario that you may be alluding to. But as an entrepreneur, the words aspirational intent, I think, are very important words that you need to wrap your mind and heart around. You know, what is the aspiration? What is my aspirational intent? You know, why do I want to pursue sales? Why do I want to own a business? Why do I want to live in this zip code? Whatever. What's your aspirational intent? If your aspirational intent is not supported by your skill set, that's where frustration 9 times out of 10 in my experience lies. So, for example, I wanted to own an online business. I wanted to own a website that made money for me passively. But I had never owned a website. I had never done SEO. I had never built an email list. And so my skill set was out of alignment from my aspirational intent. And so what do you do in those moments? Well, you either have to abdicate your aspirational intent and just be self-aware enough to go, you know what? I would love to be as handsome as Alex, but it's just not going to happen. Or you go, wow, I do want a website. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to binge out 4 hours a night how to learn how to do SEO. And I'm just going to binge it out until I crack the code or whatever. SEO is a bad example because it's a long game, but you get my drift. Like if there's something else, you know, if I want to get good at sales, like I'm going to make or take 80 sales calls a week until I can just read the person's mail, which, by the way, when you do a 2 Comma Club high ticket thing in 10 months, I was the owner operator. Like I was on the call. I was the sales guy. And by month 8, I could read the mail of I still can, of any real estate agent that I got on the phone with. I knew I was finishing sentences. So the reason why I say that, Shelly, is you got to get to a point of mastery. It's what's his name talks about 10,000 hours to master something. Like once you get those reps or those at bats, you start to get that self-confidence and awareness. And so then you have this congruency that goes, wow, you almost have like the self-enlightenment going, okay, this is how I was wired. I can do this, this, or this, but I cannot do that. So let me take these 3 things that I can do and accomplish that aspirational intent over there. And very often you probably have multiple aspirational intents that would make you happy that you just need to choose. It's kind of like pick your own adventure book, which maybe you're too young to know what that is. But I had one when I was in elementary school. So
appreciate you coming on, man, sharing your story. The fact that you are from Alabama, you can probably tell in the way I'm talking, this is an Alabama boy speaking right now.
Well, roll Tide.
Roll Tide, baby. I was just fixing to say, I hope if you're a War Eagle fan, don't be mad at me for saying Roll Tide at you.
I don't even think that's a 4-year school, but go ahead.
Could we get, would it be okay to ask Josh for his social handles so we can follow him?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I'm most active. The funny thing is Facebook I'm intermittent on. I'm most active in LinkedIn, which is going to be kind of boring probably to most people in this room. It may not be a channel that a lot of people are a part of. And that's, I've chosen LinkedIn specifically for a reason. There's a relevant reason for that, building a personal brand there for the company that I'm trying to sell. But anyway,
That's the blue ocean right now.
that's right. That's my big
That's
play.
a sleeper marketing spot.
That's right. That's right.
Would you possibly be able to type your LinkedIn or Instagram or whichever or both into the chat?
I will. Absolutely. My other stuff's boring, but my content is actually when I produce content, I put it on LinkedIn. So I'll do that right now in the chat.
I also heard you say that you was from, or I thought I understood you say you were from Central Alabama.
Yeah, I'm in Birmingham.
Birmingham. Then I guess you've heard of Marshall County.
Yeah, man. Come on.
The Sand Mountain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sand Mountain right here, buddy. Born and raised.
Good to connect with you, man.
Man, thank you for coming on. The fact that you're from Alabama is a huge encouragement. I come from a typical lower blue collar class family.
Yeah.
I thought for a long time, for 25 years, I thought I would always have to work really hard for little money. And slowly over the past 6 months to a year, starting to figure out that's not necessarily the case.
100%, bro. Good for you, and encouraging to hear that you have had that awakening. And I hope a lot of our Southern and rural brothers and sisters have that same awakening. It's a big deal.
Sorry I jumped in late, but my question, so I'm a single father of 2 daughters. I live in North Dakota. I don't got no family surrounding me. I'm stuck here because I don't want to leave my kids. So I'm trying to create something for my family. My question is, if I want to relocate, would you consider going to where my family's at or somewhere where I know where I'm surrounded by successful people?
Ooh,
Dude, that's fascinating.
That is a hard question.
That's a freaking hard question.
Because obviously my family support me, but they're not on my level. So I'm just trying to figure out where I want to go and where I want to take my kids.
I would not go to family. To give you a little validation, y'all are going to judge me for this, like judge me. But I have 3 daughters. My daughters do not know my mom's side of the family. And it's not because we're better than they are. It has nothing to do with that. It's because there's a massive core value misalignment. And when core value misalignments happen, it's impossible to progress or grow. And so did you guys ever watch Friends? Like,
oh, yeah.
So Friends is about, if you watch the reunion, the quote of the month was from the creators, the 2 people who wrote the show. The Friends series was about the moment in your life when your friends were your family. And don't get me wrong, bloodline is everything where I'm from. Like that's part of my ethos. But at some point, my offspring cannot be exposed to a particular status quo any longer. Sometimes there's negative status quos, as is part of my mom's side of the family. There's some abuse and all that stuff. I just no exposure there. I don't want that. And so instead, I've over years, you know, I would encourage you, Jake, to not feel like this is going to be an overnight transition.
Oh, I know it won't.
Yeah, but I would definitely say your trajectory needs to be towards environments of the success that you want to be in. Because, hey, dude, your kids are going to be fine. They don't need, you know, you're going to take care of them, and you're going to find friends in a community that'll take care of them. Like, unless you let them play in the road, you know, like it's fine.
Well, there ain't nothing much in North Dakota, so I want to show them the world.
Yeah, y'all probably play football in the middle of the street and it doesn't matter. That's fine.
Yeah. Every day, probably.
Good to meet you, man.
Hey, thank you.
All right, we got one more question, then we're gonna cut it. So, Jaden,
Hey, can you hear me?
you're up, brother.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, yeah, I'm from North Dakota too. That's actually kind of funny. It's
Crazy.
It's just flat out here, you know. But I really like what you're talking about, like with the real estate stuff. I've always wanted to like get into that and kind of get started, but I don't really have much capital. I don't really have any direction. For you, is there any like books, courses, tips, kind of anything, just for someone that's kind of like wanting to get started with any real estate investing or anything like that?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you read it?
I'm going to, yeah.
Read it immediately. Read it
Okay.
immediately and get started sooner than you think you can. Here's all you need. I'm telling y'all right now, this is where society tells you something that's not true. I'm telling you, all you need, Jaden, is to find a local bank. Don't go to Wells Fargo. They'll laugh you out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a local bank. Find somebody to give you $5,000 or $10,000 somehow. Go earn it, whatever. Make sure you got a credit score above 720, 740, and go to a local bank and go, hey, look, here's 5 properties. Help me choose. You help me choose which one of these properties you'll help me buy. Don't say it that way, but bring them into the conversation. Don't just go, hey, will you give me money secretly and privately for my own endeavors?
Mm-hmm.
Bring them into the deal. And then they'll go, okay, yeah, we'll lend you $88,000 to buy this blue collar rental property in the outskirts of a metropolitan area. Sure, because we get it. There's data to support that there'll be rental income. And then buy it.
Sell
Kind
them
of just like sell yourself and kind of what you're working on.
That's
Not
right.
just ask
Yeah.
for, okay.
Yeah. Go now to a financing partner and go, what will it take for you to lend me the money to buy one of these 3 properties? Find the 3 properties. You'll need to find a source for that, but they're out there. Guys, Google turnkey properties in North Dakota. Just Google it. Find a turnkey company and go, hey, what's some inventory I can get financing for? Go to a bank, a local bank, and go, hey, what do I got to do to get financing for these properties? They'll tell you. The playbook is there. They'll tell you what you've got to do, and then just buy it.
So do you, is it more of a selling of like flipping it, or are you talking about just like
Buy and hold.
buying it whole and like renting it out to people just so you get the paychecks every single month?
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
and do it through a company. So get the money, acquire the property, and have the company. You want to buy the company's going to buy it and do everything like Josh is doing.
You'll pay $500 for an LLC and do it on LegalZoom if you want to, or you can get an attorney. It doesn't matter.
Josh, thank you so much for
My
coming.
pleasure.
It was a
It's
pleasure.
an honor. It's an honor
And
to
if
be
you ever
here.
want to come on again, we would love to have you. I'm going to put Josh on blast for a second. He kind of knows this, maybe he doesn't, but next quarter he's working on some stuff, and we're going to get a partnership with Josh, and we're going to get you guys in there selling his products. And I know he wants us to, I want us to, and I know you guys too. So thank you so much for coming, Josh. Anything you need from us, just let us know and stay in touch, brother. It was really great to have you.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everyone.
All right,
See
take care. Have
Thank
a
you,
great day.
Josh. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, Josh. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. God bless.
Josh. Appreciate you, Josh.
Awesome. Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
you.